Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David, outside the Danner House in Niagara Falls. I was about to say California, Ontario, Canada. They both have capital CAs. One just stands for California and one stands for Canada. It's beautiful. I'm I should turn the camera over here so you can actually see what we've got going on here. Off in the distance you see the river, which is the Niagara River, and across the river is the United States. So skip some rocks over to the U.S. if you like. I made a mess of my my situation here. Hang on for a second. I pause and recalibrate. All right, we let some traffic blow past too while we did that. Okay, so Fitch downgraded the U.S. debt rating from AAA probably to AA+. The last time this happened was in 2011 when the S&P downgraded the U.S. debt from AAA to AA+. Back in 2011, that resulted in treasuries being sold off and the stock market plummeting like 6.5%. So far, it doesn't look like there's been a huge decrease in the stock market, but you know, it's a little early to tell. What do we make of all this? I'm not so sure. Indications are the economy's doing pretty well, but it's probably, interest rates on treasuries will be impacted by this. Usually when you get downgraded, you have to pay more interest because you're not considered as reliable to do your debts. Like if you have a AAA bond or something AAA, maybe it pays 2%. But if you have AA, maybe it pays 3%, and single A is 4% because a single A may default, whereas a AAA, the world has to come to an end before you default, and you wouldn't care at that money at that point because it would be meaningless. That's my simple analysis on this. But what does this mean? How is this going to impact folks in the U.S.? Since we're somewhat U.S.-centric, it could be everywhere around the world, but it's the U.S.'s debt that we're talking about here. Okay, how's this going to impact us? The sun. Okay, truth is coming out. I think it's going to shine a light on the U.S. debt and how much debt the United States is carrying, and this is going to spur on discussions on how to reduce our outstanding debt and get our credit rating back. You can't just spend without collecting revenue. And that's exactly what the Republicans did with their tax program. They put in all sorts of cuts to corporations and to very wealthy individuals. The ones for the middle class sunset after 5 years, and we're coming up on 5 years pretty darn quick here. So this is going to shine a light on that. Expect that Biden's Inflation Reduction Act and those programs, that's building jobs in the middle class, which is great, but expect that there's now going to be more pressure on the wealthy and corporations to uphold their end of the deal. We need to get revenue from them. That's where the money, when you've been concentrating the money to the top of the pyramid for the last 40 years or so, you need to start getting that money out of the top of the pyramid to help pay for everything else. So we got the sun illuminating the problem, and now we have decisions that need to be made. What are going to be the choices that we're going to make? Do we cut programs? Do we raise revenue? Do we do both? Do we just ignore it and take our AA plus credit rating and keep going the way we're going? Doing what we're doing now and have been doing isn't really an option anymore. We have to do something about it. Choices need to be made. In the past, the high priestess, the U.S. has always been considered very stable. They make good financial decisions, and we're the most powerful economy in the world, but we've gotten ourselves into quite a bit of a pickle with our national debt, and now there's even questioning the wisdom of the U.S. is their ability to pay down that debt or to get that debt under control. So this is kind of what we're now facing here. Wheel of Fortune. At some point, you have to pay the piper. At some point, you have to pay the bills. You can't just not keep paying the bills and kicking the can down the street. Everything comes full circle. This is now the time to start addressing this. 3 major arcana out of 4 cards. This is the time for the U.S. to start addressing these issues, because it's time for the U.S. to lead. Ace of Pentacles, money issues. So yeah, this we're going to have to now begin some big monetary policies in order to address these issues that are now being put forth. If you don't, you're going to go through this hedge and keep repeating this scenario. If you choose to do nothing, if you choose to just go another spin around the wheel, this is going to be fool's gold, because you're fooling yourself. You're committing financial hara-kiri here, and you just can't do that. You've got to address it. The time has come now to stop kicking the can down the road. So new actions are going to be taken. New actions are going to be explored. This could be the U.S. talking with the rest of the world about what do we do to lower debts throughout the world to make the whole world prosperous, not just the U.S., but the whole world. But we obviously have an outsized impact on it. Outcome, 7 of Wands. It's time to get to work, but fortunately, because we're the United States and we're the most powerful economy in the world, we have a leg up and we can start fighting things off. Our economy is doing well. Now we have to start getting this debt under control. And why is that? Because this debt impacts us, our kids, our grandkids. It's time to start taking care of the future generations as opposed to burdening them with crushing debt. And you can see kind of themes with that, and that might pan itself out. You know, we're talking about debt forgiveness for university students, especially, well, now that the Supreme Court killed that one, the next program would be looking at university students from financially strapped housing or income from families and such, as getting the priority to having their debts relieved. And that's good, because it's helping people that have financial difficulties not have more financial difficulties. It gives them a chance to get ahead. And maybe this is something that's going to be done with the United States and other countries to do debt forgiveness or something along those lines to help their economies get going and help their people prosper, because we're all in this together. This is not the United States versus the rest of the world, even though that's pretty much how it's been for all countries against all other countries. It's time for the countries to unify and come together as one planet. That's kind of where we're going with this whole thing. Not just the U.S. debt, but society in general. The age of Aquarius, it's going to bring the whole planet together as one family, as opposed to this fractionated 100 and something countries all vying against each other. There'll be some unity. I long for that day. I look forward to seeing it. Thank you very much for supporting my videos. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for doing all the YouTubey stuff you do to help them along. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.